So the title of this paper is Relationship-specificity in complete contracts and the pattern of trade. A comment on the role of natural resources. What is this paper about? So in this paper, we challenge an old idea in the literature, this idea developed by Nathan Nunn, that is a professor at Harvard, at the econ department in Harvard University. So he shows that industries that require relationship-specific inputs are going to specialize, are going to move to countries where courts and the rule of law is much more powerful. The quality of the rule of law, the quality of the judicial quality, the judicial enforcement, the quality of this is much higher. So the question first is, what is a relationship-specific input? Relationship-specific input is an input whose value is much higher in a specific transaction than in another one. Let me put an example. Let's think about a specific component that you need for a machine. This is an input for your production. Now, this input is specific for that machine, which means that you cannot sell to another firm that uses a different machine. As opposed to inputs that are not relationship specific, let's say crude oil. Crude oil, you can sell crude oil to a firm or to another firm or to a third one. So you have much more alternatives, as opposed to this specific component that you can sell to a firm that uses this particular machine, but not to the second firm, not to the third one, which may use different machines. So because you have very specific, you have industries that require very specific components, very specific inputs, these industries are more likely to be, are more likely to suffer the problem, the hold-up problem, which means that you serve me this particular input, this particular component, and I know that you cannot sell this to another one because different firms a different firm may use a different machine. So I know that I have a lot of bargaining power. So I can hold up you, right? So you invest to produce this component, and then you are not selling me because I know this. I anticipate that, and I take into account this to increase my bargaining power. So you need very strong courts, you need a greater judicial quality in those countries in which there is a lot of relationship-specific exports. So industries that require relationship-specific inputs, relationship-specific investments, are going to relocate in countries where judicial quality is higher, where the rule of law is stronger. Why? Because there is a relationship-specific investment, they need to guarantee somehow that they are not going to be subject to this hold-up problem. So there is going to be this relocation of industries that require relationship-specific inputs to countries where the rule of law is the quality of the rule of law is very high, right? However, this is the main idea in Nunn's paper published in QGE in 2007. The problem is this true also in natural resource industries? And this is the challenge that we analyze in this paper. Turns out that judicial quality is not a key comparative advantage for natural resource industries, even though there are some natural resource industries that require relatively high relationship-specific inputs. Why is that? Because the comparative advantage for countries that specialize in natural resources is precisely the fact that they have a lot of natural resources. Let's say they have a lot of oil underground, they have coal mines, they have, I don't know, iron ore mines, whatever. This is the comparative advantage for those countries, for those industries, no matter how good or bad is the judicial quality of the country. This is the main challenge that we impose into Nunn's hypothesis. Okay, so judicial quality is important, but in natural resource industries, for natural resource industries, it's much more important to have natural resource underground, or I don't know, in mines or whatever. Right, so what we check is precisely that the empirical results that we have is that for natural resource industries, indeed, judicial quality is not that key to attract relatively industries that require relatively high investment in relationship-specific inputs, because now the comparative advantage is precisely having those resources. It turns out that there is a disconnection between judicial quality and the requirement of relationship-specific inputs for natural resource industries. Right? This disconnection is going to give a disincentive. It's going to disincentivize countries that have relatively high resources underground to develop judicial quality, to improve judicial quality, to develop a stronger rule of law. Because if they have natural resources, they know that industries are going to come no matter why. If you have coal mines, you know that firms exporting coal are going to come to your country, no matter how good or bad is your rule of law. This is the key point in this paper. This has important implications for developing countries. Why? Because many developing countries are rich in natural resources. So they know that industries, firms are going to come to your country and these firms are going to explode, are going to extract the resources, and these firms are going to export those resources, no matter how good or bad is your rule of law. So it's giving you a disincentive to improve your rule of law. And this is a key point in the paper. It means that you have coal, you know that firms are going to come to export your coal out of your country, no matter how good or bad is your judicial quality. So you don't see the point, why should I develop institutions? Why should I improve the rule of law in my country if firms are going to come no matter what? This is the main challenge that we impose on the original results found by Nathan Nunn.